Hi guys, I'm Mama Bear to Many. I am mom to 14 children. I have been homeschooling. My oldest is 27. He went to school for a really short period of time, and then we decided to homeschool. So probably my two older boys, they went to school for less than a year, both of them, and we have been homeschooling. The reason that we started homeschooling is not the reason that I continue to homeschool now, but I'm very happy either way that I am homeschooling. So I want to share with you guys, because I think a lot of times what happens is people think that homeschooling has to cost a lot of money. I'll shut this window down a little bit because if the trucks decide they want to go round and round. So at home, I still have like 7 legal homeschoolers, which is any child from 6 to 17. I have 7 legal homeschoolers still at home. And I don't think that homeschooling starts at a certain age. I think homeschooling starts when you are super young and you just start answering those questions that the kids love to ask. I'm kind of sitting in front of I was just doing bills and stuff, and then I was like, I should make a video on this. So what are we going to talk about today? We are actually going to talk about things that I start thinking about this time of year, and it is how to homeschool really cheaply and experience so many things on a super tight budget. I do not spend a lot of money homeschooling. I think that you can spend lots of money homeschooling, but for me and our family, we spend a lot less. I saw recently that the average homeschooler spent $800 per child per year. Yeah, I would rather go on a nice vacation if I was going to spend that much money. Anyway, I'm going to give you some good tips, hopefully that you can use. Maybe you're not going to use all of them. Maybe you're just going to use a couple of them here and there. Or maybe you are going to use all of them just in different seasons of your life. But I'm hoping that you guys can even just do these things, even if you want to do a full-time curriculum. We're more unschoolers, child-led. But if you were still doing a curriculum, you could still do a bunch of these things. One reason that we do unschool is so that we're able to do more of these free things and get more hands-on type things. So, free places, libraries. So you go into a library. It's kind of funny. Our local library actually has the word free in it, and it's not a free library. You actually have a paid membership because we don't live we have a local one up the road, but it's really tiny. It's actually, if all the kids go in there, then it kind of is a lot. It's a lot. It covers kind of the room. Anyway, so we have a library for that library. We do. Usually we'd only go in for a couple people in there. And at libraries, you can get numerous things. You can rent DVDs. You can rent books. You can rent audiobooks. You can rent sometimes musical selections. You can rent just a bunch of things for whatever period of time that your library says. I'll talk about libraries first, and then I'll tell you about a system that they have within the library systems. So then we have another library system, which is kind of close to us, and they actually charge. But it's $25 per adult, $5 per child, but there's no limit on the child's thing. So basically, once a year, I have one of my children, and they're perfectly okay with this. I have one of my children to get their library card through this program, and we can use that library card. So we would use that library and just put them all under the same card, and it would just be $5 for the year. Another thing that library offers is a program that most libraries do throughout the United States, and it's called an interlibrary loan system. So say you are doing your homeschooling and you're planning something on oceans, and you looked up and you found 4 books that you wanted to do on oceans, that you wanted to read to your children on oceans. This can be for any subject, history, that type of stuff. I would write the name and author down. I'd go into my library and I would say, hey, I was looking at these books. Can you get these for me? And they will look in their computer system and they will interlibrary loan them. I can also do it. That's how I do it most of the time, because honestly, I lost the actual card to my child who has the library card. I lost the actual card. But if I had their actual card, I could just go onto their system, which in Maine is called Minerva. And you could go onto the Minerva system and you could look up, just checking on my daughter, she's right outside the window. You can look up a certain title, and then you could just order that, and you just put your barcode, the person's name and barcode number on it, and it would get delivered to the library that was your main library or whatever. And you can get books, lots of books sometimes. Another system which has libraries is if you have a college, especially a community college near you, but really any college, you can go to the college and ask them how you can be able to get stuff out of their system. And you can go to the college and ask them, and ours has like a library card. We stopped going during COVID because they had really strict regulations. But that is another choice, and they do have textbooks, especially when your kids get older. They had textbooks, but they also had like an early education section, so then they had a lot of younger kids' books as well. So those are all great resources for you and your family just through a library. Another thing is say you live like we do, we live very rural. Say you live rural, you can actually go to a city library and ask them how you can go about getting their library program. And for us, we drive to the city a lot, and we go to our local city, I guess you'd say. It's 2 hours away. We go there quite frequently, and I ask them, and they love homeschoolers. They have a massive library, 3 floors. It is gorgeous. The children's section is like various rooms. The staff is so helpful. The kids, you know, even younger kids, they'll be like, I'm looking to find a book on dinosaurs or whatever it might be that day, you know, just different things. And that probably wasn't a good example, but they could give them like, even if the librarian doesn't know who it is, like I've had children go in before and ask for a book on like a certain like missionary or something like that, and they would actually help them look that up. And say it was something that might be in different sections, and a child was like a teenager, then they would say, okay, well there's this in the children's or young adult section, and then there's this also downstairs, and they'd write down the numbers and say these are the numbers if you wanted to go downstairs with your mom. So just depending on the age, I mean usually like 12, 13 years old, if they're curious, then I would go down with them. So that, and all of the kids could get a free library card at that library. It's really cool, and they like it because they can scan out their own books. It's really kind of a neat program. It's bigger, and probably most of you guys have like actual like scanners that people can scan out, but like the local libraries here, they get their pen and paper and they have their little stamper and they write the date that it's due back. Another thing with that library is they want you to bring the library book back in a timely fashion, but they are very lenient. They just want the books back. So there's not lots of fees and those types of things if you happen to bring the book back late. I mean, try to give them a common courtesy and give them a call and say, hey, I happen to, I'm not going to be going into town or whatever. They have no problem. They have renewed books during the winter time for me for like 3 cycles, which would be actually 9 or 10 weeks, something like that. So you're looking at like a couple months having the same set of books. And they had no issue doing that at all because they have such a big selection. It might be different if somebody like was trying to put that book on hold and you were doing like a really popular book. It might be different. I'm not sure. You'd have to check with your library systems. But that is a huge resource. Libraries are a huge resource. I still like getting my hands on a book and reading it. There's something just beautiful about that. Okay, I actually should talk about, I put this at the end, but I should actually, because I'm talking about books, talk about other types of books. I recently, so yes, just need to ask Mom a question. So let's talk about other types of books. So another way to get books for low cost. Remember, the libraries also have audiobooks, and you can interlibrary loan audiobooks and that type of stuff as well. We listen to a lot of things while we're driving. Actually, I'm really excited. My new van has a CD player, which for me is very exciting. So Other things is, which I did not know about, and our friends, Herding Little Cows for the Glory of God, they actually, I wrote all my things like on a bank envelope. That's how technical I am. They bought me this little speaker, which I didn't even know there was such a thing as like a Bluetooth speaker. Now, I know there's probably a way to get my phone to connect to the van because I've done it with my old phone to the truck. But I sat there for like an hour while my husband was driving and I could not figure it out. Anyway, podcast, go on to like a podcast player and download those things and listen to those while you're driving. Let's see, some cool ones are Real Cool History for Kids. Trying to think, because some of them I do like subject based. Lamplighters has another one. There's a younger kids one that's called Paws and Tails that talk a lot about like character development. Yeah, there's quite a few that we listen to, but Real Cool History for Kids is like a must. Like as soon as we get in there, that's what we want to be listening to. But there's quite a few on there. As far as podcasts and stuff go. Another thing for audio type things is, I'm just trying this out because I've used it in the past. Don't be afraid to try things out that are on like a free trial. So what I did was, Audible is available through Amazon Prime and you would pay a monthly fee, right? So right now I have a 30-day free trial and I'm going to use it to its max at 30 days, right? I also found out that if you go, maybe I'll give a little tutorial at the end of this, how to see what books you can actually get free, because the credits are totally like different or whatever, but there's huge lists of books that you can get for free. Like the Anne of Green Gables series would all be free. There was a bunch of them. We're listening to Caddy Woodlawn, I think it is, and that was completely free. I'll give a tutorial at the end of this video on how to find the free books that aren't part of the like 1 credit type scenario. So I'm going to use that for a month. I might end up canceling it after a month, and then when they offer it to me again, taking them up on the offer, and that's just something new, right? So I don't always necessarily, I don't know if Audible would be worth it for me to subscribe. I'm not quite sure. Maybe for a season, maybe not for a season. We'll see. I'm going to give it a try. I'm listening to a book that Eleanor Roosevelt wrote right now for myself. I'm listening to that, and the kids are listening to Caddy Woodlawn. And that one's a really cute one. And then I think next for myself, I want to listen to Fault Lines, which was a free one in the religious and spirituality. Be careful in that area because there is everything from like Christians to Buddhists to everything that they would consider religious and spiritual. So just make sure that you know what you're looking at. So Fault Lines by Vodi Bachman. I think I'm going to listen to that one after I'm done with this thing from Eleanor Roosevelt. Once we visited the Campobello, I decided that I would listen to that because it sounded like a really good one from her. So don't be afraid to use those free trials to see if it's worth your money or not. I mean, if I was doing it a lot, and maybe during the summertime when we're driving a lot, or if you have a season that you're driving a lot, then maybe the $14 is worth it to you. Or maybe it's just like, hey, 30 days of this cool thing is pretty awesome. Okay, so let's talk about other things. There are little libraries that are all over this place. You'll see like just little boxes that have like a clear window on the front of them. And you can put stuff in there and you can take stuff out of there. And it doesn't matter the limit that you take out of there or the limit that you put in there, as long as it's going to fit in the box and not get weathered. So take advantage of those. As you're driving by, if you see one, pull over, see what it looks like, see if it's anything that you'd be interested in looking at. I find it really good for especially like easy readers. I do not want to keep like 50,000 easy readers in my house, but when kids are starting to become a beginner learner, they want to do like a bunch of those easy readers. And so the library usually doesn't have a huge selection, or a local library usually doesn't have a huge selection. And I really find it helpful to have those little library boxes. Just open the door, see if there's anything in there. If there's not, close it. If you're going back by, then you can drop the books back off. Even if it's the same book that you've read for 3 weeks and you're sick of it, then you can drop that one back off. So yes, we use those little box books, or whatever you might want to say. Another thing is getting involved with your local community and homeschoolers, because sometimes they'll have like curriculum swaps, or you might have like curriculum buys or that type of stuff, and you might be able to get resources for a lot less money. You can also check out things online on Facebook and those types of things. A good place to get some cheap books now, we're just talking about books. We're talking about a bunch of other things after this, but I'm like grouping this book section all together. A good place also is Thrift Books. They sell used books, and you can choose if you want like excellent quality, good quality, not so great quality. You can choose that on their website, and they have so many promotional type things. If you are a homeschool teacher, sign up for their teachers program, because I think it's like every 4th book you get for free or something like that. But that's like, but you also build up. If you've ever been on Thrift Books, like as you buy books, every so many books, like they kind of give you points, and then once you get to the point things, then you get a free book. So that's on top of that. So you're actually getting quite a few free books. And then they also go through sales. Usually I want to say like in July, they'll have a bunch of like young adult type books for sale. And they'd be like 50% off. So keep your eyes open for that. So that is Thrift Books. I'll try to remember anything that I'm actually talking about to put that down in the description box below. So I'm just going to make a little mark right here to put that in the description box for you guys. Yeah, really cool program. So Thrift Books, let's see. I kind of went off my list from like, I just wrote them down as my brain came to them. Treating books and curriculums. Okay, now let's talk about other types of things that I love. So going to state and national parks, there's a couple different things. So national parks, if you have national parks by you, if you have a 4th grader, go on to the national park site online, and a 4th grader is anywhere from like 9 to 11 if you're a homeschooler. This is for homeschoolers as well. And look on there and it will say 4th grader pass. And so what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down, click on the 4th grader pass, make sure your 4th grader is right there with you. And we don't do technical grades in our school, but if it's anyone from like 9 to 11, they're 4th grade. So go on to your site, and then they would have, it's just a little thing. It says, where would you like to go? And whatever. It has like 3 questions, and it's like just little animation type things. And then at the end of that, they print out a park pass. I would show it to you, but I do believe that it does have her name on it. Anyway, you print it out. It's 1 sheet of paper, and you bring it to your national park service, like the visitor center or whatever, like the main building in there. Okay, good job. So you bring that to them, and they will give you a free park pass for the year.
Yeah.
For the year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that is something also, if you are a veteran, if you don't have a 4th grader, if you are a veteran, military, there's an access pass, which I'm actually just learning about this because I'm not quite sure. I have to look into it more, because Sweet Pea might actually qualify for the access pass, because I thought that it was just like for permanently disabled people. We used to have one with my son who was in the wheelchair for our national parks, and that is free to them. We didn't need anything. It was, I mean, we had to say that he was disabled, but sometimes they require, I think it was just like his main doctor just wrote a note that yes, he has this condition. And I think that I could do the same for Sweet Pea. There's no, like, it doesn't have to be a physical disability. It's, I guess there's also learning disabilities and that type of stuff that they just want to see people get out in nature. You'd have to look up all the details on that. Personally, for the past few years, I honestly, we ended up paying for our park pass this year, and it was because we were driving 2 vehicles. So I paid for one, but I might end up getting a 4th grader pass because I do have a 4th grader this year. And I could have just done that one, but I forgot to print the paper off before I went. Last time it was you could show them on your phone, and this time you had to actually have the printed paper. So I was just like, I'll just buy it. We were going camping and I was not going to drive 2 hours home just to get the printed paper. So we just ended up purchasing the park pass, but that's a free way to get into parks. There's also state park passes, and it just depends on how often you're going to be going to that park. If you have one close, then you might want to do it more often. We tend to rotate through what we're doing. Last year, we were doing a lot of things in Portland, and we were doing a couple other things which would have made the state park pass worth it. So we purchased the state park pass. And then this year we have the national park pass. Now I'm also looking into, and I don't know too much about it, so I can't share this with you, but if you are a Canadian citizen, there is a Canadian park pass, which is called Discovery Pass or something like that. I'm actually looking into that because we live right on the border, and I just saw some really cool parks that aren't too far from our house. So they're, I mean, within 5 hours, right? And I was like, that looks really cool. So we might do that this year. We might do that next year. I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to look into that more. So if you are in Canada, make sure you check out the Discovery Parks Pass for that. So that's super exciting. Another thing is checking out wildlife refuges, or in some places I think it's BLM land. I don't know. It's like federal lands. You could look up BLM land. There's different land that you can actually camp for free, or you can go and just search free camping, and there might be sites near you that you could go and take your family camping for free. Obviously you'd have to make sure that the sites were available. You can't like pre-book them, or most of them in our state, we can't pre-book them. But if they're near you, you could just go up the road and see if that was something cool, because nature is a huge part. I've studied a lot. It's really interesting. I've studied a lot about how being outside in nature actually engages totally different parts of your brain than being inside. Yeah. And it, contrary to, is the amount of like electronics, the eye function in whatever actually shuts down parts of your brain. So it's more important if you are needing to be on, you know, computers, phones, whatever, that you are outside, because then it'll turn things back on in your brain, right? So super cool to think and talk about and whatever. Camping is cheap. I know people are like, I can't camp, the bugs, the whatever. I think it takes a couple times of doing it and understanding the beauty in it to really, what's the word? It's really cool. It really is. It's really cool just watching your kids be kids, being out in nature, just doing their thing. They're like having so much fun, you know? And when we stay in hotel rooms and stuff, it's like, shh, you gotta be quiet going down the hall. No, don't slam the door. Don't do this. When you are camping and that type of stuff, it's like, yeah, go to town. I mean, in the evening times, I'm guilty. I bring a little like movie type thing. I download a movie on it for my little kids. The other kids are out there playing games, usually under, I have a little tent thing. They're out there playing cards or whatever, like under the tent, making a fire, whatever. The little kids, it's kind of like, they're not used to all the noise, the different noises. So a lot of times I will have them do whatever. But really, if you look, especially at like state parks are super cheap. We went to Sebago. I think it was like around $25 a night. That's like nothing. And we literally were like on top of the lake, like 50, 75 feet, something like that. Little trail, There we go. We plan on going to PEI, which is a little bit from our house. Our site is like right almost on the ocean, and it was the same thing. It was like 20 to 30 bucks a night for a site. You can't go wrong with that. I mean, people spend that on like drinking coffee in a day or getting takeout or something like that, you know? Like, I'd rather spend time adventuring with my family than just drinking it away or eating it away. Anyway, historical sites. Going to historical sites a lot of times is free, which lots of people don't realize that. And if they're not free, a lot of times they are very low cost. So pretend you're a tourist in your area. If you have a visitor center by you, go to the visitor center and just chill out for like a little bit and be like, oh, this looks kind of cool. This looks kind of cool. And get their little pamphlets. I have some here because I do this all the time. Yeah. Oh, they're over here. So when we were at Roosevelt, we got a bunch of I let the kids pick them up too, see what they like. And then you can research about it and then look online and see what there is online. And then sometimes if you go online, they'll also have like an events thing coming up. There is, I'm trying to think, Fort Knox. There's a Fort Knox in Maine. And they're having, I think it's like $2 or $3 a person. It's super cheap to get in there. And they are having, or maybe Fort Knox is free and the observatory is $2 or $3. I forget. It was really affordable. I think it was like under 50 bucks for like all of us to go there. But they are having a Civil War event. Actually, I think last weekend, or maybe it's tomorrow. I think it's actually tomorrow. I'm not sure. They had a medieval thing. They're having a Civil War thing. They're actually having 2 Civil War things in July. So we're going to one of them, and that's going to be really cool, and it's going to be cheap because whatever. And they're going to learn so much because it's going to be hands-on. So finding those free or low-cost historical sites near you is awesome. And if you don't know about the person or don't know about the event or about the place, perfect time to learn. You're the parent, like just read the signs. You don't have to read the whole sign, but read some of the signs so you know what's going on. Just like I did with the lighthouse. We went to the lighthouse. We happened to be there. We went to the lighthouse, and then we came home and we read all about it. And the kids thought it was really kind of cool because there was a cow and, there was a lightkeeper and stuff. And so he had his animals way back when, early 1900s. And there was a huge storm, and everything that was on the island area that there was floated off. And they ended up finding their family cow on an adjacent island alive. Yeah, so who would have known? I mean, silly facts. You don't really need to know that, but I think it just makes it more personal. So if you don't know about the person or the event or something, don't be afraid to learn with your kids. Do not. And it's okay to say, geesh, I don't know. Let's look that up. Oh, that's kind of cool. Like, I didn't know the amount of stuff with the Roosevelts. We went there and then engaged them more. Like, hey, let's look up polio. Let's look up like all these different things. It's just more engaging. And then you can go to the library after. Even if they're not asking those questions, just going to the library and grabbing a couple books that they might associate with what you just did. They may want to read them, they may not. That's okay. I ended up, and this brings up another freebie here. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can go to Amazon Prime and like look up videos and whatever. Well, there's like 1,000 channels on there. And sometimes there'll be maybe a video that I want to watch that is, say on like the History Channel, or this Roosevelt one was actually in the, so it was in the, what's it called where they sell things? Not the visitor center. When you go to a place, the gift shop, there we go, sorry. It was in the gift shop that a lot of times I'll take pictures of books that they have in the gift shop, or take pictures of videos that they have in the gift shop. So there was a video series that was on sale there for $99 about the Roosevelts, numerous CDs that came with it. And I was like, oh, that looks really interesting. So I found it, I searched on Amazon Prime, and it was available for PBS documentaries. So I said, okay, cool. And it said, do you want a 7-day free trial? Sure I do. So I mark my little thing on my phone to go off when 7 days is up so that I can cancel that subscription. So we have planned out, okay, for the next few days, we're going to watch this, and we're good. And you can do that. And then a few months from now, it will offer me the same thing again. So you can rotate through different channels and stuff like that. Hey, maybe you want history and you really find this interesting, or maybe you want discovery and you find this interesting, and you can just mark it out for, because you don't want to pay for like 10 different subscriptions, because that's wasteful. Because if you have 10 different descriptions, you're not actually watching all of those 10 different subscriptions on a monthly basis. What are you watching? Maybe, a couple of them. So anyway, I use it like that. If they keep offering it, I thought, well, hey, if I don't do it, then they're never going to offer me that again. No big deal, whatever. If I decide that I want to whatever, then I'll just subscribe to it. But it seems like every 3 or 4 months, they'll offer me the same thing on a free trial. So who knows? Don't be afraid to use a free trial, especially if you already see a video that is in a series that you're interested in. Another thing is if you are a Amazon Prime subscriber, then a lot of times it will ask you, hey, would you like some digital credits if you have your whatever late, like a day or 2 later than you would get it before? Yeah, I want digital credits. So just click it. I mean, if there was an emergency and you had to have it right then, but really 2 days is really not that big of a deal most of the time. So you can earn credits, which is going to save you if you want to purchase things later in the digital world there. Okay. Camping, historical sites, field trips to local places. So, taking field trips, local places, go to your visitor center, say, hey, what is local? Or talking to local people or old timers, like, hey, what's cool? Look for lighthouses, look for waterfalls, just Google it. Lighthouses, waterfalls, covered bridges. I just found out that in New Brunswick, which is the side of Canada that we are on, there are a ton of waterfalls and covered bridges. I'm all excited. I'm like Googling it, like Google Queen, trying to figure out where all these are, and then you just go to like MapQuest or whatever quest you do for like how far it is from your house, and then write a bunch of them down. So yeah, finding local places. Another thing is going on field trips to normal places that you would go to, but asking somebody to speak on it. You could go to, say, a grocery store and just ask, hey, I was thinking about getting some homeschoolers together. If you wouldn't mind like sharing the bakery section with us. And then they can take them behind the scenes and do the bakery. Years ago, probably 10 years ago, I took the kids to McDonald's. Not sure that I wanted to go to McDonald's. So just be careful, because you might find out a little too much. But they gave the kids like all free Happy Meals, which I'm thinking to myself, like, I just saw what I saw and I'm not sure that I would want to eat here right now. Anyway, maybe just me. But don't be afraid if you see something like that. Also, think of different people that you know. And a lot of times we don't do this, and there could be a resource right in front of our face. Do you know somebody that is a lobster person, a lobsterman? Could they take your kid out and show them, or take your children out and show them, even without going on the boat, what they do? What about a carpenter, an electrician, a plumber, a roofer? Think about any services that are in your house. And then think about anything outside. Is there any farms locally? Could I bring them to a farm? Think about where your food comes from. See around us, there's logging. Like, I would really like to find. And if you are local and you know somebody that is in the logging industry, I would love to have my kids to be able to see how the logging industry works. So please either drop something down in the comments below or email me, which is in like my homepage. Email me. It's mamabeartomany@myyahoo.com. I'd be really interested. Or if you live local to me and you think there's a cool thing that like yourself or your husband does that would be interesting to our family, I would love to hear about it. Just let me know. Just comment or whatever, because we love doing new things. Yeah, I mean, a dairy, somebody who's doing dairy, somebody who's making cheese and soap or whatever. Like, if you're not doing that, like, find somebody who is and show your kids that. So it doesn't have to be like this huge thing. It can just be like, hey, let's go see what that person's doing or see what that person's doing. And they can learn so much doing that. Okay, other things. This will cost a little bit of money. Museums. Check out to see if there is a museum that might have like a museum membership and see if that would be worth it to your family. Also, look to see, I'm looking because we just went to the museum the other day. We actually rotate. So this year we have a children's museum pass, but I don't get one every year. I usually get one every couple years, and we rotate through what we're doing because I have to be honest with myself on what we're doing. And also, like, if they've been to the children's museum a bunch this year, they're probably not going to want to do that a bunch next year. So next year I probably would try to focus more on, say, like a zoo pass. I'm sorry, I keep like, I hiccup burp when I'm pregnant. It's almost like that acid in your throat. Anyway, it's gross. Too much information. Anyway, museum memberships and zoo or aquarium memberships, all really cool things. And also, even if you're going to go one time, sometimes a membership, if you're a large family, sometimes a membership is worth it for you to get a membership than to actually pay the full fee. So check out your numbers when you're doing that. So there's something called ASTC memberships, which is a membership that you would get a certain amount off if you went to other museums in the same type of program. So you can check that out to see if it's worth it for you to pay just a little bit more. It's usually maybe like $20 more, but then like you would get discounts off of a bunch of other museums, or you might get free people in other museums. I just recently also keep in contact with other homeschoolers. I just saw something that Maine Maritime Museum, something like that. I have to look it up better, but that it was free. All kids were free this summer or this month or something like that. I have to look that up. Yeah, I'm drinking that. It has been super hot. I need to actually make some more electrolyte stuff, but I didn't, and I knew I was going to be sitting here, so I grabbed that. So museums, ASTC memberships, zoo memberships, aquarium memberships. If you have all those, if you're more like city-ish or closer to things, you might want to do like, hey, a museum membership this year, a zoo membership this year, an aquarium membership this year, and then go back to the museum membership, something like that. Or it might be something that I know a lot of people, we don't have family that like buys gifts and that type of stuff, but you might want to say, hey, could you buy, our children really enjoy this. This would be a good thing for you to buy, and buy them like an experience. Ask grandparents or aunts or uncles or whatever that want to purchase something for your family to do so in the form of like a yearly zoo membership. And then it's easier too for them if they really want to give. I know when like my kids are grown and have children, those are things that I would want to purchase. Like, I would want to know that like, I'm going to give you a membership to a zoo that's near you so you can take your kids whenever you feel like it. So when things are tight, all you need to worry about is the gas money. Okay. Other things, beaches. Beaches are usually free and or affordable just for parking. Also, one thing that we learned when we were down on the Cape is, I hadn't remembered this because it had been a long time since I had been down there, is a lot of times the beaches that are really public and there's a lot of people there, they're usually free after a certain time of day. I think down there it was like 3 o'clock. After 3 o'clock, it was free. So you could get in for free if you didn't want to pay that daily parking pass. Parks, it could be like city parks, it could be like playground parks. We're so blessed to have like Google and stuff lately because you can just type in parks near where I'm at, water parks near where I'm at. We found out recently that there is a water park that is like, it's like $3 a person. Yes.
Is she almost there?
I don't know. You can look out the window.
It's taking so long.
My oldest daughter went to go pick up pig food. And I said we're not going in the pool until after she comes back. So I think, I don't know. Oh, other things is we use, please don't so they can hear, please. Is we use teaching textbooks for, if you're going to be quiet. Okay, you don't want to talk over me. Thank you. So we use teaching textbooks. We switched a couple years ago. We were using Matthew C. I'm speaking right now. You can show them right at the end. Okay, I'll give you some time to do that. So we're using teaching textbooks for our math, and they actually offer, if you're interested in it, they offer, it's a 14-day, or no, it's not a 14-day free trial. It's not. It's like 14 or 15 lessons. So you can take as long as you want to do those lessons, and then once you're done with those lessons, then your trial's up. So it gives your child a chance to experience if they're going to like that program or not. And that's how we ended up just switching all the way over, because for one, my kids are not on devices. So I think that they just wanted to do more just because it's a reason for them to be on a device. But what I do is I will have them do the trial, and then I order it after the trial so that I'll get like that extra time, right? Because 15 weeks are already done.
Can you show
So,
this now?
1 minute, please. 15 weeks are already, or 15 lessons are already done, and then it just converts it over to their thing. So you don't lose that out if you decide to purchase the program. It just switches over like that. And I think some other programs have similar type things. I just don't use a lot of curriculum. I do offer to have the teaching textbooks as a math curriculum as they get older. And we also do like a learning to read type program. And we do it a little bit different than most people do. I'm more like make myself available rather than tell them that they have to do a certain amount per day.
Yeah.
Yes. And if they're not feeling up to it, then that's okay. But then if they feel up to doing more, then that's okay too. And I find most of the time they end up finishing their things well before they need to.
Yes.
Yes, you agree? Okay, it is going to be your turn, and then I am going to show them a couple things on my computer. So go ahead, show them what you have.
Okay. Yep. This can shine in the sun.
That can shine in the sun.
I just put it outside and I saw it shining light.
Yes, it kind of reflects the light a little bit.
How does it does that?
How does it do that? We'll have to talk about that, won't we?
Don't.
Do 3-year-olds like to ask a lot of questions?
Yeah.
And it's fun to find the answers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do we find the answers together?
Yeah.
You're being silly now. All right, I'm going to show them the rest of the things. I got to pull them closer. I couldn't figure out how to do it on my laptop. So this is just like when I first turned on my phone, I signed in. Oops. trying to do this like through the phone, not exactly whatever. So if you click on this Discover button here, then up here where it says Audible Plus, now these on here, there's tons of them, just scroll through. All of these are Audibles that are included in the Audible Plus membership without being like 1 credit or 2 credits or whatever like that. Let me just see. I'll go to my library. So all of these that I got, God Smuggler is another one. We're listening to Caddy Woodlawn here. So basically what you do, all these here, Pollyanna, Heidi, Real Love Ingleside, all of those like ones were all in the kids section to this, which are free books. So I put them in there. So in addition to whatever the credit thing is for the month, you can listen to anything that is in that Amazon Plus type side, or Audible Plus, I forget what it said now. So as soon as you sign in, that's how it's going to come up. You push the Discover on the bottom again, comes up like this, and then you'd go to the Audible Plus. It's hard to do this and like looking through the thing. Alrighty. So the National Park Pass can also be found probably easier at this site right here. It's called everykidoutdoors.gov. And so this is how it would look. Hey, 4th graders. And then if you want to get your pass, you just put get the pass there. And then it asked the 4th graders, if you're an educator, if you want to just get your pass for your kids. For the 4th graders, it was really easy. They just played like 3, she just played like 3 little, like literally it took like not even 5 minutes to go through it, and then just printed off the pass. So here is the ASTC paperwork that I got from our museum itself. As you can see here, it goes state by state, and it just has a ton front and back of different museums. And then if you look underneath it, it will tell you, say in Iowa has the Family Museum, 2 adults and children under 18 residing in the same household would all get in for free if you had an Iowa pass. But then if you looked to this Launchpad Children's Museum, it would be up to 2 adults and 6 children. So it gives you like the limits, and then you would have whatever that would be. If you had more children, you'd have to pay more for that or whatever. Just depends, but each of these comes and says exactly how much and what you would have in that museum that would be available if you had a membership. Our museum pass for our household and all of our children, I want to say is $125. And you could go, if you live within a bunch of different states, you could go to a bunch of different states. It doesn't, you don't have to, or if you're traveling to other states, then go for it. So I was looking too over in here because they have Canadian ones that are also part of the pass. So if you're by the border, Mexico, kind of cool.